Okay, let's dive into one of history's most famous stories, but we're going to focus on a tiny, almost invisible detail. Seriously, it's something you could read 100 times and never think twice about, but it might just hold the key to a really powerful hidden promise.
I mean, that's the question, right? It sounds almost ridiculous when you say it out loud. You've just conquered death itself, and you pause to, what? Tidy up? It seems totally bizarre, but stick with me because the proposed answer is absolutely fascinating.
So, we're going to start with what you can only really call a curious laundry detail, because at first that's all it seems like, just a weird, out of place little fact. So, picture the scene for a second. We're talking about an earthquake, a massive stone being rolled away from a tomb. The impossible has just happened. This is a huge, cosmic event. And yet, smack in the middle of describing all this, the Gospel of John hits the pause button to talk about laundry? Yeah, the empty tomb was obviously the main event. That was miracle enough. But inside that tomb, there was a clue, and it suggested this wasn't some chaotic escape, it was something else entirely. And the key to understanding it was this one single, neatly folded piece of cloth. All right, so let's walk through what actually happened that morning. Let's reconstruct the scene, step by step, to really get why this one little detail stood out so much. So, first up, Mary Magdalene gets to the tomb and, she's shocked. The stone is gone. She immediately runs to get Peter and John, and they just take off, racing to see it for themselves. John, being a bit younger, gets there first. He peeks in and just sees the burial linens kind of lying there, but then Peter arrives, goes right inside, and he spots something else. The main wrappings are just tossed aside, but the facecloth, the piece that was over Jesus' head, is folded up all by itself, off to the side. I mean, just imagine what they were thinking. What does that even mean? Grave robbers? No way. They wouldn't hang around to neatly fold a cloth. And if Jesus had somehow just escaped, why on earth would he stop and do that? It's a real head-scratcher. It just doesn't make any sense, and you can feel their confusion, wondering what kind of message this was supposed to be. And this is where we get to a really beautiful interpretation, often called the Master's napkin. To figure this puzzle out, we have to actually leave the tomb for a minute and step inside the culture of the time to understand a really simple, everyday custom. See, the clue wasn't something you'd figure out just by looking at the tomb. The meaning was actually hiding in plain sight, in a common cultural thing that pretty much every servant, and definitely every disciple, would have recognized from the dinner table. Okay, so here's the deal. In Hebrew tradition, the way a master left his napkin after a meal was basically a signal. It was a clear, silent message to the servants that told them exactly what to do next, without a single word. And the tradition was incredibly simple. If the master was completely done with the meal, he'd just crumple up his napkin and toss it on the table. The servant saw that and knew, okay, he's finished, time to clear the table. But if the master was just getting up for a moment and was planning to return, he would carefully fold his napkin and leave it by his plate. That simple fold sent a totally different message. Don't touch a thing, I'm coming back. So with that in mind, let's go back to the tomb. All of a sudden, that folded cloth isn't just some weird, tidy detail anymore, is it? It's a promise, spelled out in a single fold. This act had nothing to do with being neat. It was a deliberate, intentional message. It was like he was leaving a note for his followers, but not with pen and paper. He wrote it with a gesture they would immediately understand. Through that one simple action, the master was speaking loud and clear to his servants, to his disciples. And that message, filtered through their culture, was unmistakable. I am not finished. I am coming back. This wasn't some deep, hidden code meant for us to figure out thousands of years later. No, this was an immediate, clear signal for Peter and John. You have to believe they walked into that tomb, saw that folded napkin, and their hearts just leaped because they knew exactly what the master's folded napkin meant. When you really think about it, it's pretty incredible. This might just be the ultimate Easter egg in history. It's a hidden message, not of an ending, but of hope. It's a deliberate promise that this story was far from over, and he left it right there at the scene of his greatest victory. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a simple piece of folded cloth could hold such a profound meaning, what other powerful messages are hiding in plain sight, tucked away in customs and traditions that we might just overlook every single day? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.